Hello, everyone. Welcome to round number 9 of the 44th Chess Olympiad in Chennai, India. And one of the highlights of this round is Team USA's win against Greece. In one of the games won by USA here was courtesy of Wesley So against Macho Vasilis. Check it out. His opponent was white, played d4, not into f6, c4, e6, c2, bishop b4. Okay, then Imzo Indian. d3 castles, bishop d3, d5, knight e2. White doesn't want to compromise his structure with a double pawn on the c file, so he went for knight e2. So bishop takes e3, knight takes e3. Takes, d5 castles, takes. All right, there's an IQP for white. The isolated queen pawn, knight c6, a3. Here, Wesley could play bishop d6, but he went for bishop takes c3. Pawn takes. If you want to keep your opponent's IQP, you can go for bishop d6, by the way, here. So takes on c3, takes on c3. All right, the c3 pawn now connects to d4. h6, stopping bishop d5. Queen to d3. White is planning to move back the bishop to b3 and the bishop c2 battery on h7. And potentially some knight f4 and knight to h5 ideas here. So Wesley went for knight a5, not allowing bishop to b3. Bishop goes to a2 and then b6. Now if you go back to b1, attacking here, black has knight b3. Right. Although I think it's possible here, bishop takes h6, this would be tricky. Takes on h6, queen into g3, king h8, queen f4, knight g8, queen e4. Yeah. Not too sure though. This is complicated, but white has the plan of playing that knight g3 to knight h5. Or maybe black is better. Okay, if let's say king g7 here, knight g3. Okay, the king can escape it with here. Yeah, there's king f8. Black should be fine. So rook e1, bishop to b7, knight f4. The rook on e1 controls e4, not allowing black to make use of that square for the bishop. Rook e8, bishop d2, queen to d6, c4, bishop a6, and pin on c4. d5 takes, knight takes, queen takes on e1, and queen takes d5. All right, this looks equal. Queen takes d5, knight takes d5. Here, white went for bishop takes a5. If you capture that knight on d5 with a pawn, black could go for bishop c4. And if you play bishop b1, knight b3. If you go, for example, bishop takes a5 here, then bishop takes a2, bishop b4, bishop takes d5. Okay, here black is a pawn up, but there's an opposite colored bishop. So white may hold. It may hold. Okay, takes an a5, knight f4. Bishop on b4, rook c8, isolated pawn on c4, g3, knight into d3. Rook e7, takes of course, takes. Rook takes a7, knight takes b4, a takes b4. All right, here's the interesting part, the rook endgame. As they say, 95% of rook endgames are drawn. But how did black win this game? Wesley started with g5. Okay, the main thing about g5 is that if you capture king b4, then white has h4, so you don't have that g5 move. White may hold this endgame, yeah, just put the rook from behind. The Tarash rule. So he played g5 first. b5, rook to b4, 7. Takes on b5, king g2. I don't like this king g2. White should at least go for g4 here. Yep. If let's say black plays rook b4, h3. b5, king g2, king g7. Maybe just rook b6. Now this is hard for black to convert. Because, okay, let's take a look at some ideas of rook to b1, for example. White can go h4. Yeah. If black takes, and king h3. Although, okay, rook b4 is also a possibility here. King g3. Or maybe rook to b3. And then f3. Because if you take, for example, an h4, it's king takes h4, yeah? Well, I should hold the draw. Right. You remember the game between Wesley and Magnus Carlsen? It's the same end game with the Scotch. Wesley was able to hold. He was 1 down against Magnus. All right, king g2, king g7, and then king f3, rook to b3. After king e2, okay, the decisive mistake. Now g4. The pawn now controls both h2 and f2. After rook b8, h5, rook b7, rook b5. He played king f1. The main thing here is that if he plays f4, then just king g6. Yeah. White cannot do anything. Okay, he can go king d3, for example. Rook b2. Okay. Target will be this 3 peons. He went for king f1, king f6, 7 rook c5. Nice move by Wesley. Rook b7 and then b5. And the move, right? Key move, the winning move, by the way, the rook protects the h pawn, the b pawn, and the f pawn. And now the king can go to the b pawn. That was the key move. White plays rook b6, king e7, f4. Okay, he takes f3 and passant. King d7, king c. Pass pawn must be pushed. Putting your rook in front of the pawn. Push. King b6, b2. Takes on g4. King all the way. This is too late, too slow. King e2. After h7, just rook to b8. And here, white resign. All right, we can continue with rook takes b2, takes king g5, rook h8. After takes, we have f5. That single pawn wins the game. Okay, white could have drawn. Okay, let's say you need to really study at games. It could have held his own here with a draw. I didn't like his king f3, king e2 idea here. With white playing g4, that would have been better at least, you know. But when Wesley played, okay, here, after rook takes b5, yeah, g4, it's a higher chance of drawing this game. But when Wesley had rook f5, it's game over. When black had rook f5 here, that's it. It's game over. When the rook has the protection on b5, h5, and f7, and the king helps the b pawn, black is already winning. Okay, that was pretty strong endgame by Wesley. A weak endgame by his opponent. And that gives the USA, thanks to Caruana also for winning after that heartbreaking loss yesterday. They're still in striking distance. And now we have a new leader, by the way, with a young Uzbekistan team who will be playing India too. Well, it will be the battle of the youth tomorrow. All right. Again, guys, thank you for supporting our channel, Chess and Chess Entertainment on Facebook and YouTube. We will continue our coverage of the Chess Olympiad 2022, the last 2 games, last 2 rounds. This is Coach Oliver. Stay safe, everyone.